This is the question that everyone wants to know. Here it is. Madison Perkins. Is Greg's new thing CrossFit adjacent or something brand new? Like, will CrossFit affiliates be able to switch over with the new but similar teachings? Meaning, there's people.
In fact, thank you for that question. My suggestion to Emily is,
this is a pretty crazy video. I think it's going to blow some people's minds. Greg Glassman was on the Sevon podcast this morning, and we've got CrossFit and we've got MetFix. I think a whole lot of people are confused about what MetFix is, and there's a little bit of clarification given on the podcast. I also think a lot of people are confused about CrossFit, and that includes those who own it. Something that really pops into my head is that when Eric Roza was at the helm, it was all about the CrossFit games. Games. And if you remember in the final days of Greg Glassman, he was really pushing CrossFit health. He had dismantled the media team. He had turned the studio into the area where it looked like a living room from a 70s sitcom where the elderly people were lifting water jugs in it. And he really wanted to take the emphasis off of the elite athletes. And this is why it's going to warp some of you guys' brains. So like I do, I'm going to play a little bit, talk a little bit, and hopefully by the time that we're done with all of this thing, we'll have a better understanding of what MetFix is, what CrossFit is, and potentially what the differences are at this point in time. Let's do it.
I can't wait to affiliate with BSI, says Zach. Couldn't have been happier leaving after attending the Boston event. Thanks for all your work, Greg.
Thanks, Zach.
You don't really know what's going on with that, right? In regards to the 100 people who are invited to be, you don't know? No, I didn't think so.
No, but
you're focused on your up on Jan 11th and 12th.
I told Emily I consider myself the chief philosophy officer of the effort.
Sevon mentions that he doesn't know what's going on and that he's focused on a seminar. I believe he's got a broken science seminar coming up in early January where he's trying to demo the 2-day people who are part of the medical society. So that's kind of Greg's baby. Lots of attention going over there. And then Sevon brings up the 3,000 who applied and they're taking 100 into MetFix.
And in terms of metabolics, I've stated quite clearly my views. And I think they're profound and they haven't changed. Someone else can parrot them. I'll do it if you want. But I bring nothing new to the table. I have nothing to say about human nutrition and health that I didn't say 20 years ago, right?
Right.
And that was received to whatever extent there. I did my thing.
20 years ago, CrossFit started up. What I hear him saying here is that whatever's going on right now kind of was what was intended over at CrossFit in the first place. That's not inherently a bad thing because I started off this video telling you that maybe CrossFit doesn't even know what it is these days. And if you're looking for somewhere to go and it's what it was supposed to be, then potentially MetFix is the place for you.
And where I'm at now is I can tell you in excruciating detail what went wrong in academic science. And that's exactly what provided the opportunity that was CrossFit for me, was what was wrong. I mean, these fucking idiots didn't even have a definition of fitness that was amenable to either accurate or precise estimation. I mean, like, it's just a cardinal sin.
Greg Glassman defined what CrossFit is because there was no definition. And if there's anybody over at CrossFit HQ watching this video, and I know that you're out there, I know you watch these videos, and if you're looking for guidance on how to steer the ship back into the right direction, measurable, observable, and repeatable movements, which is why movement quality is so important, which is why the whole no rep thing is so important. Because if you do not hold people to a standard, then you can't measure this stuff. It's what got me into all of this in the first place. The fact that when I bench press here and my buddy bench presses across the planet, you know that the hips are on the bench and the range of motion is the same when you're doing Linda. Stretch that over the course of every single movement in the space, and you can compare yourself against others, and then you can compare yourself against yourself. There is no objectivity to whether or not you are getting in better shape. That's what Greg did for CrossFit. That's something you don't hear anymore.
And what I want to do in this 2-day course is put someone on the path, give them a plan to reap the primary, if not sole purpose of an education. And that is to detect when a man is talking rot. And I'm convinced I can do that. So that has me really excited. And what that translates to in terms of the work that Emily and Bob and the others are doing, I'm not sure.
Sounds to me like Greg's North Star is broken science. I have to have heard the dude say it 100 times now what science is and what it isn't. That is what he's going for, not fitness. No fitness. I haven't heard any fitness yet.
I know this. I know that there's a brain trust that Emily, her husband Bob, Karen Thompson, they have a brain trust at their fingertips that is unrivaled. It's global. And that's my Mesperts, the people that I've remained friends with. The Tim Noakes, Peter Gauthiers,
Zoe
Fetke, Gary Fetke, Zoe Harcombe, Malcolm Kendrick, and others. Those people, you're gonna see them again. They're still a part of my life.
If you follow MetFix at all, you'll have seen Emily. A lot of the information that I've got from MetFix has come from Emily, and one of the podcasts that she did with this dude named Dale, who you might know. It's kind of one of the best sources to get any information you want, Mike, from MetFix that doesn't come from the man himself.
This is the question that everyone wants to know. Here it is. Madison Perkins. Is Greg's new thing CrossFit adjacent or something brand new? Like, will CrossFit affiliates be able to switch over with the new but similar teachings? Meaning, there's
in fact, thank you for that question. My suggestion to Emily is I would require CrossFit affiliation in an L1 for participation that we're doing. I would assume that is a nice bottom floor for further learning about the truth of metabolic disorder, and a journey into a fairly detailed study of the harmful effects of a glycation and reactive oxidative species, right? I mean, there's something to be learned there.
People want to jump off the CrossFit boat and into the MetFix boat, but Greg just said that he might even require affiliation and a level 1. It's a good bottom floor, he said. I think the exact word that he said, require.
I would require CrossFit affiliation in an L1 for participation that we're doing. I would assume that is a nice bottom floor.
I don't know if he currently requires it, but he did say require.
And so there's nothing going on at MetFix that isn't a continuation of CrossFit Health, which is clearly abandoned. They have to. The new ownership won't suffer the repercussions that I know we're going to suffer at MetFix.
I'm assuming he's talking about battling people legally when it comes to those who are in power, when it comes to the sugary companies that you all know. CrossFit that we all know would back down in a second if Coca-Cola came hammering at their door saying, hey, don't talk about that. They're like, okay, no legal battles for us.
I understand requiring the level 1 until you guys get your own.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't see us in the fitness space.
I opened up the video with this. If you are a CrossFit affiliate and fitness is your onus and you never talk about diet and nutrition, perhaps MetFix is the spot to start. But if you could give a rat's butt about that, which I don't really think anybody watching this video does, but they are out there. You know, I'm going to the CrossFit Games, folks. But that's not what MetFix is. I've always kind of figured it was diet and nutrition based. You know, the base of the pyramid, the one that Sporty Beth completely forgets about.
You don't see them replacing affiliates. You don't see 10,000 MetFix centers around the world, and then like something similar to the Open and affiliate gatherings. You don't see yourself rebuilding.
This is supportive of CrossFit and affiliates in the manner that Bill and Katie are. It wrote. They're nothing but a help. They don't want to teach the science. They don't want to teach about broken science. They can't. They don't want to teach about metabolic derangement. They don't want to continue in the 5 buckets vein. They don't have the intellectual chops for it, and they don't have the courage to endure the backlash. And I'm fully okay with that. Not many people do.
Greg is just fully roasting CrossFit. Oh, well, they can't do this. They don't want to do that. They don't have the chops for this. Just Michael Kelsoing all over CrossFit. And he's not wrong. It's like the scene in Office Space. Like, Donfall, what do you do here?
So you don't see it as a threat to CrossFit. You see it as another piece of the pie in the ecosystem.
Yes, and the idea that no one is anymore building community around the realization that the standard universally accepted Western medicine parameterization that is health, that consists of a bunch of parameters that are not independent variables, but the dependent variables of lifestyle choice. The profundity of that is apparently lost.
Off the carbs, off the couch, I think is the dumbed down version of what he just said right here.
I think that there should be community built around it. I think that the gym that says we cure type 2 diabetes is so far ahead of everything else that's out there.
Which is not fittest on earth. It's curing metabolic disease, and we know that CrossFit was in and around that for the longest time, but that's been totally lost. And to be fair, it's been about 3, 4, 5 years of that, and people do want to hear it, but there's nothing foundationally on how to cure it. It just says go and do it. Here are the stories of people who have done it. Go take the level 1. But there used to be all of this information about it happening and how it's happening, what you need to do in order to get it. And Greg used to give speeches. The 5 buckets of death death speech, where you began to understand it, and it wasn't just a here's an end product, go do it. And, well, how do I do it? It doesn't matter.
Oh well. Here's the thing, Greg. So intellectually, I'm hearing you that MetFix is a different component of CrossFit. The thing is I believe from the pulse that I'm on is that people do not want to give money to private equity anymore, and they want to shift.
I know Frank's gonna watch this video, and I've banned Frank from commenting on my videos.
Well, I hope this lesson is helpful.
Anybody who has anything to do with Frank, you're officially in the dummy bucket. We're including a 6th bucket of death. That bucket's name is Frank. And if you ever invest a single dime into the Frank bucket, then you're an early iteration of whatever happened in the movie Idiocracy.
They want to put their money, they want to vote with their dollars, and they would rather give it to you and to something that's privately owned with someone who will say just the truth and not be concerned about making everyone happy. You know, like you're the kind of person, if someone had a gym for 5 years and they're not successful, you'd be like, hey, maybe you should switch businesses then, open a 7-Eleven. The current administration regime is like, hey, we can help you fix it. And because obviously it keeps them afloat. I think that there's a cohort of people who just want like, fuck you, sugar's bad. Fuck you, stop, de-affiliate if you can't say that. And so you're saying that you're not bringing something to market where people can pivot and fly the MetFix flag and hold classes, 10 classes a day and start their dreams of being trainers. And I think people are looking for a new community that is the old community. I don't want to say you're shutting the door on that, but it doesn't sound like you're doing that now.
I'm not, and I'm gonna also be quite honest that my role would be figurehead. I'm probably more like a royal family than governance.
The dude's got a way with words. What does the royal family do? Do they not do much? Not as much as a police officer? Do they not make laws? I don't know much about like the European side over there, other than Sporty Beth eats all the food over there. But he sounds like a mascot. Is he a mascot?
I don't have needs outside of being with my family, teaching my kids, and developing this curriculum. I want to teach kids what science is before they develop any other notions about science.
I believe he already talked about that earlier in this. It's all he talks about. That's what he wants. What science is and what science isn't. Not 2159 burpees and thrusters.
I want to bridge the qualitative and quantitative education of children. And I think we can do that with probability theory. And I think you can start with 4th graders.
That's kind of softcore burn at the entire planet. Because if 4th graders can learn what he's going to be trying to teach everybody, and the inference there is that most of the population has no idea how to dictate things for themselves, that's a burn. Burn!
And that's the same interest I have on the MetFix side of things too. And so I'm kind of over here in this lofty space of epistemology. And what's so fucking cool about it is no one's going to stand up and go, fuck you, you fat Jew. Those people just aren't in my space. But I think they're hanging around the squat rack and the weight pile still.
They call those degens. Incels? Yeah, there's probably a lot more of those in the fitness space than there are in the science space. Calling people names because they don't agree with the things that they got to say.
Fitness was a bit of a... that was a little bit of a slummy space. And I trained because I knew the impact I was having on people, and I couldn't help but do it. But you do those things because you can, and once you're able to, you won't stop. And now that I'm multi-generationally filthy rich, I'm going to still do it. I'm going to have CrossFit classes for the neighborhood here. Look, I'm not going to have anything to do with standing around teaching people to push press.
There it is. You want fitness? That's probably why he says that CrossFit and the level 1 are the foundation, and he used the word required.
I would require...
It's not like you're just going to jump off the CrossFit boat and jump into the MetFix boat. It's an extension of, and he used Rogue as an example earlier. I mean, sure, you can buy Rogue equipment and put it into this giant building, but the idea behind the CrossFit logo you slap on the front of it is that it might bring people in to use that rack that you bought from Rogue. I wonder if this could be one of those CEUs that you would use, continuing education units for the level 3 or 4 that they require over at CrossFit. Can you take the MetFix course as a 2-day class, which would probably take up, 16 hours or so, and apply it to your continuing education units?
If Emily and the rest of my crew, if they think that's something that needs to be done, then let them do it.
The BSI thing is the operating manual for human perception and understanding of what you perceive.
Yeah,
Not
in
to be
fact, like the most unattractive thing I could call it is epistemology camp. I wasn't
Right.
afraid of the vomiting clown, and I'm not afraid of the idea of filling my gym space with chairs and tables and charging people to put them on a path and plan to not be first in line the next time a bad idea comes down the road.
Critical thinking, epistemology camp, critical thinking camp. I think I've actually heard Emily say that one. Critical thinking camp. It reminds me of that meme where there's the dude walking down and then there's that castle on the hill. It's purple and scary, and then there's the sunny, shiny rainbow path over here. Greg's Broken Science Initiative is giving you the tools to make the correct choice on that path, and then not going down the one that's going to require you to pay a child support for the next 18 years.
MetFix is not CrossFit. Jeffrey Birchfield. There were 3,000 applicants for the first 100.
The idea that your health is governed almost entirely by simple lifestyle choices, the amount of healing that would have to be done to make any impact on health, public health, that is off the couch, off the carbs, there isn't currently community around the strength of that notion.
I want this curriculum for my grandchildren.
I'll make that available for everyone.
So we said off the carbs, off the couch. God, when's the last time you heard that from anybody out of CrossFit HQ? It's so simple. And it's not just echoing the message. It's the importance behind it, how you implement it. It's like, CrossFit's great, CrossFit's great, CrossFit's great. It's like, yeah, we get it. Here are some people who say CrossFit's great, here it is. Here's a show their stories is what they're doing. It's like, yeah, we get it. But what do they do? Again, it's the Office Space quote. What do you do here? And then right towards the back of that, he says, we're to give all that away. The curriculum, which I think that he is referencing the BSI curriculum, epistemology camp, critical thinking stuff. At the beginning of this, I told you that a lot of you guys were gonna have your minds melted over, should I just jump on MetFix? Because in the middle of it, he said, the foundation of it is in a way CrossFit and the level 1. I kind of liken it to a badge. You're a Cub Scout, throw a badge on. You're gonna become an Eagle Scout when you collect all your badges. You're gonna learn how to whittle with freaking knives and how to tie all these different knots. And MetFix is a badge you throw onto the CrossFit belt. That's what I heard Greg say. And I'm also gonna say, sure, if you don't want to pay $4,500 a year to big bad private equity, then that's cool too. But somewhere in there, Stefan asked whether or not he sees 10,000 separate MetFix gyms, and Greg didn't just say, yeah, that's what we're going for, because I don't think that's what he's going for. He's just reeling all the way back into the beginning, kind of like what happened in 2018-19, where Greg shut down the media team, gave the old people the water jugs, fired Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez, sent him into the abyss of talking elite fitness. Bye-bye to your fancy studio, we're putting a couch in there. Personally, I was a huge fan of the CrossFit Games Update Studio, but Greg was pushing CrossFit Health. Greg was frustrated that the elite component of what CrossFit was becoming was getting all of the notoriety and attention. MetFix is the stuff for 99.999% of the population, and how to do it, which is the most important part. At least that's what I took away from the video. That's about it. Andrew Hiller, out.